Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the Chronicles of Apple from the Apple of My Eye, Madaberet Ivrit Rakasat, and today I wanted to go over some keys that I believe is going to help the Jewish nation be able to win the media populace. Um, so the one thing that I do well is that I'm extremely creative and I'm very good at brain brainstorming. Okay, in order to break down the brainwashing of the media, you have to have the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit is the key, and the Holy Spirit is not a woman. It is a man. He's a gentleman. And the more you study about the Holy Spirit, the bolder you will be, the more powerful you will be as a Jewish person and even as a Christian. So, in order to relay the information to people, it is important not to allow yourself any ounce of fear. And just know you are the messenger and you're doing this for the Lord. You are to take this message and give it to the people. What has happened many times in Israel, and this is back 2010, I remember I was at the church and everybody was happy and dancing. Of course, these are Christian people. I had Christian friends and I was in a Christian event. It was a church evening service on a Friday. And as I was looking at my friends singing and dancing, I was working in a skilled nursing facility at the time. I had this vision. I wouldn't say it's not like a grand vision, but I saw this. I was watching everybody, and in my mind's eye, what I was seeing is the left side that has a door, and within that door are these they look like they are dressed up like Jewish people back in the days, like the Israelites. They were wearing their garment with the rope as their waistband, and they were just leaning on top of each other, totally like stones. They were like stones, and it was very dusty. It was not just like frozen people in the dust. And I was looking at it and I'm like, why am I seeing this in my mind's eye? Because I'm like, this is a celebration. The Christians are happy. So why am I seeing a vision that is not in the same level? I mean, why is this in my heart? Why is this in my mind? What is this impression about? Then I realized that this is the state of Israel back in the days. Over 10 years ago, right after Obama was in power, about 2 to 3 years afterwards. And I saw Jewish people not dressed like a common regular person, but rather in their attire that was like New Testament style. So they were frozen. And the Lord had me praying for the Jewish people. But when I was praying for them, I eventually shifted my prayers for the Muslim people, because I'm like, there are so many terroristic attacks. And I feel as though, what are the Christians doing? Why are we not educating them? And at this point, fast forward that, okay, the Jews are no longer paralyzed. They are no longer stones that are leaning on top of each other. They are more vibrant. They are not paralyzed. They are active. Okay. So there is still a level of fear growing because of the anti-Semitism, but that's okay. It's like when you work in a nursing home and we look at wounds, there is a saying that things get worse before they get better, and you need to heal it from the inside out. So if you don't know what's inside people's hearts, you cannot test how they really feel about you. But when it's all coming out, and then you know how they really feel about you, then you're better off knowing how they genuinely feel about you, because then the correction is going to take place. So you cannot go to the doctor and not tell the doctor what's wrong with you. You can't heal somebody, like let's say a couple trying to repair their marriage, if they're being so secretive about it. So let's not be secretive about it. Let them ooze out what they need to ooze out. Okay? They have a bad spirit in them and it's coming out. But when it comes down to the media, we know that they're paid. CNN, of course, they kicked out all the Jewish people. I mean, it's completely biased. And by the way, I'm very proud of my new necklace. Kind of depicts what's going on. I really love it. Anyhow, so in order to win the media, you have to be like Christ, okay? And if you remember Peter was in the boat. He saw Jesus walking in the water. I don't think Jesus Christ is walking in the water because he wants everybody to go surfing. It's not like that, okay? And he was like, oh no, it's me. Don't worry. Come on. Come, Peter. So Peter came out and he was walking on water. Then he got scared. My friend is sending me a message. Oh, that's one of the keys. Okay. So I have several keys to give. So you stand on the water. So Peter stood on the water and he was walking on water. Then he got scared and he sank, right? And it's because he got fearful. Okay? The Lord is with you. What are you afraid of? Okay? The only reason, okay, I'm talking to a friend of mine and she says, "Oh, I found out that I heard from my dad that the rabbi is carrying." And I'm like, "Oh, you mean carrying a rod, huh? Hot rod. He's carrying. He's packing some heat, you know?" So this is the state of the Jews nowadays. You know, they're not hiding anymore, but they're certainly packing some heat, which is fine, you know? My dad was a big gun owner. I'm not big on guns, but I've been told, okay, you know, it has importance. You know, when you have some really crazy people, they give you more respect if they know that you also have a gun. When I was in Alabama, my friend told me, you know, when you drive in Alabama, be very polite. And I thought, well, they just want to be polite because it's the South. And she says, well, actually, you want to be polite because you'll never know who has a gun in here, you know. So having a gun, that's you know, kind of brings a certain level of respect. I'm not saying that that is the key, okay? So I'm saying there, it's like with this whole ceasefire, the world is trying to force Israel into a ceasefire because these wonderful people in the United States and all over the world, and they are not the representative of the world, okay? These are the loony toony, wokey people. They are not the true representative of the entire world. The entire world has way more sense than these people that are on the street protesting pro-Palestinian. But what they mean there is pro-Hamas. Okay, so the thing there is that Israel needs to get rid of the head of the serpent, which is the commanders of the Hamas. You cannot liberate the Palestinian from the brainwashing until you cut off the head. So anyway, so then there's also the other thing that's going on, right? I have to kind of be quiet a little bit. My landlady came over. So you have to get rid of the head, but also there's tunnels, and the tunnels are the tails, and they had to get rid of that. If they don't get rid of that, it doesn't matter what you do, it will always sprout and it will always cause a chaos. So anyway, I shall continue. So the key that I'm giving you is that you need to walk on the media and you need to not have any fear. Do not show any fear. The moment you show fear, it's kind of like if you are in the forest and all of a sudden there's a bear, don't act all scared. If it's a brown bear, I mean, it will attack you. I mean, you're not going to outrun the bear. You're not going to you know, you're not more powerful than the bear. But if you show fear, they are going to go after you. So don't show fear. Hold on to the Spirit of God and know that God is with us. Now, the other key is to understand more of the prophets. And so, Elijah, the story of Elijah and Elisha. So, in the story of Elijah, there is in the story of Elijah, there is the prayer shawl. And the prayer shawl is actually, the prayer shawl is the flag of Israel. So patriotism is important, and I think Israel has a unity now. Even the left wing, and the right wing, and the middle wing. Okay, so they are now more united than ever because many of them have lost loved ones, and their loved ones are in the military, and there has just been some soldiers that got hit from the missiles from Lebanon, and we have to pray for healing. And I personally believe that Israel is the place, even on Shabbat, that the Lord heals people. Jesus Christ healed people, and he said, "My Father is at work, I must be working as well." So the the story of Jesus Christ, if you look at how he suffered, is very similar to how, and bled, is how Israel is going through a very similar thing, which is basically they are bleeding, but the Lord is healing them. And I honestly believe that there's a lot of miracles happening in Israel. And that is the place where a lot of miracles took place, even in the Old Testament time. Now, so again, don't have fear. Walk on the media, don't have fear. Think about Elijah. Think about David. Think about Elisha. Patriotism is important. And the unity. In unity, there is power. So it's just like Samson. When he never shaved his head, he was powerful. When his head got shaved, he became weak. And they gouged out his eyes. And then he took vengeance. He says, "I want, give me my strength back." And his hair started to grow. And that means that the Jews are coming back together. And he was able to pull down the pillars. And that killed a lot of people that are in that abode. And I think that is the epitome of Islam. The 5 pillars of Islam. 2 of them is prayer and shahada. So they have shahada, a profession of faith, and they have the salat, zakat, and they have the prayer, they have the compulsory giving, they have the hajj, and they have the fasting. Okay, so it would be good if they were fasting for the Lord. Okay, but they're not fasting for the Lord. They are fasting for Baal. And so, how do you cut off the brainwashing? Is to also interject it with a why. Why Israel, right? Why is Israel suffering through this? And the answer is because Israel is the light in the darkness. Now, there is a lot of progress, whether or not people know it. There is a lot of progress in humanity because all over the world, the level of violence, the even cannibalism, all the fights is a lot greater than it is now. And people may not notice that, thinking, "Oh, we're really horrible people still." On certain pockets there are, but there is now more shame in deception than there were before. And what the enemy is doing is to try to ramp that up again because we are post-Christianity society and there's a lot of apostasy. But there's a lot of also people awakening in the spirit to know more about the Lord. So Don't have fear. Walk on the media. Be like Elijah. Be like Elisha. Elisha performed many miracles, and he was very close to Elijah. And he was not happy when the Lord took away Elijah. But Elijah gave him the mantle. So there is a mantle, and that mantle is now the flag of Israel. So the mantle is the prayer shawl that the Jews are wearing. And so they said, oh, well, we need to be able to hide the Jews again. And I'm like, I don't think that the Bible said that they should do that. Well, just keep hiding yourself. That really works. No. Um, be who you are. Shed the light. Let them get used to you. Don't be in the closet. You can't have a menorah in the closet. So now the other thing is, I'm just gonna put this in. Moses had black children. Moses had Middle Eastern children from Sephora, and the Cushite wife had black kids. So they could be the African American here in the United States, because they said that they had to beat the people that were from the slavery, and they had Jewish names like Jacob, Isaac, and they wanted them to forget those names, and so they gave them a different identity. They have to forget their identity, and it fits in the Old Testament. There's these Jews that are going to forget their identity, and most Jews do know their identity, so it's not that. But there's a sector of the ones that totally forgot. Okay, they may be some of the African Americans. So I am praying for more reporters, dark skinned reporters, to step it up, because they have a pull like nobody does. Okay, and this is why they get used for entertainment. So Hollywood is there's a possibility that the people that are being sucked into Hollywood are from the Jewish line and the Levitical line. And if you notice, a lot of the MTV, there is this, like, even Madonna's song, "Life is a mystery, everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like home." And then you will see that there's a black person she was seducing. Okay. The reason for that is because the African American and even some Africans have a tendency to have a pull on the media. I don't know. It's something in the spirit. They just have a pull on the media. Chinese people don't have that. Filipinos don't have that. But these African Americans, they do. So we need to have, like, what I call the pepper reporting. The pepper reporting. And again, do not show fear, because the fear is significance of, it's kind of like a bear. You're dealing with a bear, and the more you show fear, the more the bear becomes aggressive. So the Muslims is like a bear. But here's the other thing too. When Elisha was walking, or he doesn't have Elijah anymore, and Elijah went up to heaven, and there are these mockers, these young men. They were mockers, and they were like, they saw Elisha, and they said, "Go up, Baldy, go up, Baldy." And it's making a mockery out of what God did in bringing Elijah to him. When Elijah went into heaven on a flying chariot, he was going up. And so they were making fun of Elisha. And Elisha has actually performed double the miracles that Elijah performed. He was able to clean the water. He also, Elisha was able to revive a dead child. And he did a lot of miracles, and the miracle of the oil. So I believe that the mantle that Elijah has left, it's as though the Jews of today has that opportunity, if they open their hearts, to carry on that double blessing that Jesus Christ, um, well, there's double blessing that Elisha got. And Elijah had very similar thing that, Jesus Christ, like 40 days and 40 nights fasting. He also resurrected. He didn't die. He didn't die, not like Jesus Christ. But Elisha performed quite a bit of miracles in Israel. And the reason that the media doesn't like the Jews is precisely that the enemy wants control over the human heart. And to a certain degree, people are deceived. So the enemy uses people, human beings, to pounce on Israel because they are the connection to the land and the Bible. It is their people that is all over the Bible, depicted in the Bible. So the expansion, they accuse Jewish people of controlling the world, but then the people that are really trying to control the world are the Catholics and the Muslims. There is not so many Jewish nations. I mean, there are Jewish people in different parts of the world, but they've been kicked out in so many places. So they are not the ones doing genocide. They can do genocide, but that is not what they're doing, because they are actually protective of the Palestinians. And I believe only the people that stays in the pillar. You see, like the pillar when it was pulled by Samson, only the people hanging out in there making fun of him died. The people that are outside of the building didn't die. So the pillar, whoever is under the pillar of Islam, they're not going to do well. But the people that are on the periphery, that is getting tired of the pillars of Islam, they're going to be saved. And so the fact that the people from Gaza is getting moved over down south, that means that the Lord is sparing a lot of Palestinians, and the Jews are sparing the Palestinians. And you got to realize, Samson was very much in love with Delilah. Let me repeat that. Samson was in love with Delilah. And what did Delilah do? She's a spy. She's a conniving person. And whether Delilah repented or whether Delilah attended his funeral, we don't know. But there are many things not stated in the Bible. But I personally believe that the pillar that Samson pulled is the same pillar as the pillar of Islam in a metaphorical sense. And so the stronghold that they're in Gaza, and there's just a lot. So again, going back to the keys, we need to have no fear, give out the message of the Lord, know your identity, be like Elijah and Elisha, walk where the Lord leads you, do not be afraid, um, and shed the light and ask why. Tell people why. Ask why and tell people why. Why is the name of God. Yod He Vav He. Behold the hand, behold the nail. That is in Hebrew pictogram. Yod He Vav He, Yahweh. The name Yahweh is the only way. Okay. Yahweh. Yahweh. And what time is it now? 6. Deuteronomy 6. Okay. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might and strength, and so on and so forth. The Jews are like the Trojan horse. They are the there's a horsepower. There's a horsepower. And I believe the Misusa, the significance of that is that in that household, okay, that carries the Deuteronomy 6, it's not talking about the house. The house doesn't have a heart. Whoever has the heart are the people. So that go beyond just touching it. You need to actually live it. You know, you have to live it. Be strong, be strong in the Lord, and know that God is one with you. He is with you. And in the book of Isaiah, it talks about Emmanuel. God is with us. And God is with us. So some Jews, they see Jesus Christ, some people not yet, but there is a God with us. And we have to recognize that. And the other key is the pepper reporting. And what I mean by pepper reporting is to have the African American speak about Israel, because somehow a lot of Muslims, um, they respond, oh, something, let me fix my hair. Not a good hair day today, but something's bothering me. Okay, so there is what I call the pepper reporting. The pepper reporting is to have people of color, the African Americans, speak up, okay, in support of the Jewish nations, because they fully understand the kind of discrimination that is taking place with the Jewish people. And if the African Americans are truly in the line of Moses, this explains why there is such an attack on them. This explains why they can only live in the city. In the book of Leviticus, the Levites do not get counted. I think in the book of Numbers you don't count the Levites. They are the secret weapon of some sort, and the Lord hid them in different places. Okay, and the tendency is they tend to be where the other tribes are, the Levites. They can only be in that city if that's where the Lord wants them, and they naturally have a tendency to be good at evangelism and gathering offerings. And the Levites, they can kill because they sacrifice animals. What I mean that they can kill is that they know how to nail it. Okay, they know how to nail it down. And again, one thing that I'm praying for, and this is something that the Jewish people really need to understand. Samson didn't die pulling the pillars. And then, okay, he's kind of like the soldier. If you look at it, Samson was like a soldier, you know. He sacrificed for the Lord, because he wanted to save his people, and his eyes are gone. Okay, and there's also the issue of boldness. Okay, even there's making fun of Elisha about being bold. Like you're not good enough because you're bold. So we need to really pray for the joy of the Lord upon the Jewish people, especially in this reporting. When you report, it is, people are just messengers. We are just messengers from the Lord. And we need to really take into consideration the pepper reporting, because something about the Levitical line, and if you notice, the African Americans suffer from being fatherless. Moses was kind of fatherless. He lived with the Pharaoh because of the Pharaoh's daughter, but he was also sent on I don't know if it's kind of like a robbery. It's like the story of Batman almost. He was put by this mom into the basket, and it was like, I think it's made of rubber. It's probably the kind of the same material as the phylactery, kind of like a leather material, because it has to float. Anyhow, he also lost the identity. He didn't know his real identity because he was adopted by this Pharaoh's daughter. So anyway, I'm just keep putting it out there because there is definitely these dark-skinned children of Moses that the enemy knows their bloodline. They Satan and his minions, they do not develop dementia, and they can track people down the line. And that's also the reason why the enemy likes to use Jews in Hollywood, Jews and African American, to make them sell their soul and use them for evil. It's just like in the Holocaust time, the Jews were used to kill off the other Jews, and I think it's called the Judas goat. It's a type of Judas goat where your own people will take you, will masquerade itself to act like you, but then they are killing you off. So we need to break that down. We need to really be, um, we're in the crossfire. There is the war, but there is also the cyber war. And the Jewish people need to win the cyber war as much as they win the physical war, because if you don't, it poisons more people. So the war on Hamas is a war on violence, and it's a war on terrorism around the world, technically. And the fact that they stood up against the acts of terrorism, many countries will stand up against terrorism. In fact, for example, in Pakistan, they are struggling with these, I don't know, I don't think it's Taliban, but these um, demonized sector, the radicalized group. They are really struggling with them. So anyway, I have more keys to give, but little by little, it's gonna come together, and we just have to continually pray. And like I said before, I'm doing this because I know that I'm not worthy, but the Lord came to the Philippines. I think I'm gonna do another video, and it's gonna centered on bringing the allies of the Jewish people from around the world. And in particular, because I'm a Filipino and I know what Filipinos went through with the Muslims, I am totally in support of Israel, and I'm praying for the Philippines to understand the history and our ties with the biblical people through the adoption of Christianity. Christians adopted Christianity. In fact, Filipinos, um, I'm talking about Filipinos, sorry. Filipinos made a blood pact with the people from Magellan, with Magellan and his people, because the reason for that is the Filipinos do not want to become a Muslim. We didn't want to become a Muslim, and we don't want to be killed for the faith. And so, hold on. I washed my hair, but it still feels kind of oily. Um, we're going to do a lot of pepper reporting, and we're going to bring the allies of Israel. And just so you know, the people around the world are against terrorism. They just don't know it. They don't know what they're doing, and it needs to be explained to them. Because when people do reason out with them, they back off on what they're supporting. You cannot support Hamas. Hamas doesn't care about democratic nations. In fact, they don't even care about the Palestinians. They don't. They want them to be human shields, and Allah is failing all the people in Palestine. The Quran is failing all the people in Palestine. And the Palestinians, people need to understand is it doesn't matter if they are Palestinians or not. I pray for them on account that we are in the new covenant. This is the new covenant. They're no, they're not. They are not exactly the Philistines. The Philistines are not Muslims. They are actually pagan from with connection to Crete, which is they said Greek. And how they found that out is that their pottery is very similar to the ones in Crete. And they are seafaring people, and that's why Gaza is Gaza. But they have like 5 places, and even if there are DNA in connection to the Philistines among the Palestinians, there's also Jewish people that have DNA in connection to Palestinians. And just think about it, okay? Samson and Delilah. Who's to say Delilah never had a child with Samson? Okay, there's no, I mean, we don't know. Solomon had affairs with all kinds of people. So that is a thing. The Jewish people have a tendency to fall in love with different people. That is their one of the traits. Uh, and even though God told them, "Oh, don't do that," they don't listen. So this is where this is where we're at as people of the world. But the enemy of the world is the same. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, you're Christians, or you're Jewish. Our enemy is the same. It is Satan. To what degree we are deceived is another story. So anyway, I'm going to end it right here. Thank you and God bless.